I try in this speech to present some idea and some research that I made and in the last 1-2 years. And the title is Towards the Ecological Transition. It's a word, the ecological transition, it's a Western idea, the ecological transition. But it's an important idea to preserve our globe, our idea of the future of the life of the human being. But my point of attention is on hybrid participatory processes, mutualistic communication in liminal communities. It is important to explain these three different concepts because for the beginning, what is a liminal communities? It's a concept with colleagues, Michele Sorice from Sapienza. We have Sapienza is the university, another university of Rome, the biggest university in Rome, because 1,100, it's a very big university. We have the opportunity to discuss the concept of liminality and what is the different idea of communities. I explain also the social development of the liminal communities with the protagonism and participation of the people. And then I explain why communication is so important in this situation, because obviously it's not only a problem of political or social aspects, but there are many aspects on communication. And I use the concept of edu-communication processes that derive from the thinking of Paulo Freire, that is pedagogist, a Brazilian pedagogist that in the 70s of the last century write a very important book, in my opinion, The Pedagogy of Oppressed. And if you know some things about this person, it's very interesting nowadays. And finally, I try to explain some limits of and opportunities of these types of research to present three different research. Two of these research derive from two European projects funded by European Commission. So, this is the first thing. We are all vulnerable. Why? We are human beings, and we have in the middle of this slide, you find the sphere of life: family, income, work, health, social relation, digital capital, community capacity, housing condition, education, cultural capital, institutional capacity. In each of these sphere of life, one time, each of us, we have types of vulnerability. Remember, in your life, you have some health problems in your life, also a little problems that became you vulnerable. Obviously, it's very strange that you don't have any problems. Yes, if you are very young, probably you don't have any problems on this sphere of lives, but you have some problems of work, or you have some problems with your family, or with your house. It depends. If you have many problems, you are exclusion, not vulnerable. If you have few problems, you are vulnerable. All of us are vulnerable, all vulnerable, because it's normal, it's a human condition. This idea, it's a different way to think about exclusion and about inclusion. When we talk about marginalized people, when we talk about different way to live, it's important to understand that the sphere of life and the life cycle is the important dimension to understand the vulnerability. Why, for me, vulnerability is important in this situation? Because vulnerability is not in the air, in the idea. It's not an imagination. Vulnerability is in the community, and not only in the on-site community. I use on-site community and not a real community, because on-site and online community are both real, obviously. And on-site and online, it's the same realm. It's not so differences in our perception. We act in the on-site community and in online community in different way, but the consequences of our action are real. It's not an imagination. And so the vulnerability is not only in the on-site, but all of sphere of life are important also in digital, in online, real world. And so, in my point of view of a research on media and communication, to point attention on vulnerability and on community on site and online, it's very important nowadays to understand the change, to understand what's happened. And in these types of research, with Michele Sorice, create a new concept, the concept of liminal communities. Liminal is a concept that derives from anthropology, and meaning a state of transition from one state to another state. This concept of liminality point out from scholars in 1974. The name of this anthropologist is Turner, Victor Turner, that write about this concept of liminality. And in his point of view, the liminality is a state of transition from adolescence to an adult state of life. In my point of view, liminal is a concept to understand better the transition of our local communities. Because it's important to point attention to the liminal, to the transition. Because in some situation, when you study the state of change, in the state of change, you find the future. You find the dimension of the future. When you stay in a situation that is immobile or is static, you don't see nothing. When you see the transition, you see what is important to change. And so, in the liminal communities, there are many changes. I put some references by some scholars, many German scholars, because the German is perfect. There are no German in this room, no, okay. The German is perfect. There are very precise, it's a beautiful. And so the German scholars write some of these concepts that change the idea of community. The first concept is by Noblack and Lowe. It's the process of refiguration of the community. It's a very important concept because the process of refiguration, it depends from the deep mediatization of the life the deep mediatization. And the second is the translocalization, that it depends from a different way to communicate. And the third process of refiguration depends from a change in culture, different culture that live together. The process of immigration, the great movements in all the world, change our point of view and our local culture. In this way, we have some in the liminal communities that are not all communities. If you stay in Colombo, for example, a liminal communities is not the financial district or this area, but, for example, is Petta. Petta is a liminal communities. When you see this city, if you look around, Petta is very close to here, but is a different word with a market, a traditional market. And this area change. In these liminal communities, the process of participation is more easy. It's very strange, this, but it's more easy to find process of participation, protagonism of the people that live in the liminal communities, because they have a different idea, different perspective from the other area of an urban city. And there are two types of process of participation, uninformal and formal, and both formal and uninformal are online and on-site at the same time. Sorry for the second microphone. Which is the process of why process of participation, hybrid process of participation are important in the liminal communities to change something? Because in the liminal communities, the vulnerability are very widespread and are a very difficult situation for many people. The hybrid process of participation can change the perspective of the people that live in these liminal communities to change their communities if they participate online and on-site, both together. In the other way. And it's possible to have a process of social development. But it is possible if a researcher, a communication and media researcher, work with the community. I have the opportunity to work with different communities and try to explain the results of these three experiences. The first experience is a training, but education, communication, and also research action in the south of Italy, in many liminal communities of the South Italy. The second is an European Horizon Reggae project, where I have the opportunity to work with another types of community, the farmers community, in five different countries. And the third is another European project, a SERV project, where we will try to have an experimentation of community building to imagine and realizing a green future for the liminal communities, to use hybrid participation processes in all of the three situations. So In the first situation, don't work. Okay. Okay. Oh. Don't work. Yes. There are a list of many liminal communities that are placed in the south of Italy. Many of you don't know the reality of the south of Italy. The south of Italy is the poorest part of my country, and many peoples are emigrate in many other countries. In the United States at the beginning of the last century, but also in Australia, in the northern part of Europe, because there are very poor condition of life. The situation is change, but not so deep change. And there are many difficulties. In many of these situations, it is possible to create, from my point of view, with the theoretical framework that I tried to explain, not very well, sorry, but in this theoretical framework, I try with other people to create research action to have the opportunity to facilitate the participation of the people of these liminal communities to have a protagonist to decide together their future and to support this way to work together. Sometimes we have problems with organized crime in the south of Italy because, as you know, because it's an international stereotypes, but it's not only the stereotypes. Mafia and then 'ndrangheta, there are two big organized crime in the south of Italy, global organized crime, because they have opportunity to work with other organized crime in all the world. They have a global perspective, and many of the research action meet this situation. And it's not easy to work with and fight against organized crime, to propose participation processes with the population of the liminal communities, because organized crime want to control the local community, to control the territory, and they have some problems with the researchers that work on the field and want to change something with the people that stay in the liminal communities. But it's very interesting that if you put together action in the on-site community and in digital communities together, it's possible to change something. Communication have a positive impact in this case. It is not only commercial. It is not only Facebook and others. It is possible to use, for example, digital local platform to create the condition to participate for the people, the poor people and the vulnerable people, and to create the condition to became protagonists of their future in the digital platform, but also in on-site activities. The second experience is Co-Green, this second project, European project, where these types of idea that I have the opportunity with others, colleagues and scholars in the south of Italy, we experiment in other countries, European countries, in Greece, in Poland, in Croatia. We have the opportunity to create the same situation of this South Italy, and we have the opportunity to work with different culture, different situation, different problems, but work with the same point of view, to promote hybrid participation processes, to put together the work on site and the work online, to create the condition to facilitate participation of the people. It is possible in different countries, but it's also possible in the last project with not a liminal community, but a professional community. In this case, I work with the farmers of 4 European countries and with Israel, the north part of Israel, where there is the center research that I tell you before the beginning of this speech. In this project, obviously, I don't understand nothing about agrivoltaics. I don't understand nothing about panels because I'm studying sociology of communication, and obviously I don't understand nothing. But I support and facilitate the hybrid participation processes of the farmers to understand and to contribute to this experimentation. Because sometimes the innovation in technologies, the researchers propose to us and say to us, this is the innovation, you like? Or, okay, you don't like, we change. In this case, farmers accompanying the process of innovation at the beginning and participate with the researcher to create together, to co-design the innovation. It's a different way to thinking. With an hybrid participation processes, because the farmers have no time to participate, because they work. And so they have the opportunity to participate in another way. Is to thinking about the communication in a way, in a different way by commercialization. Because if you use communication to facilitate participation of the people, to facilitate about market of communication or communication market, you have a different way to think. In the 3 different aspects, I work with vulnerable people, I work with different culture, with many persons that live in different communities, with different lifestyle, with different culture, with different idea of the future. But in the same way, I propose the methods. The hybrid participation process is a method to change our community in all the world, I think. It's not only an European proposal, because the same thing, but I don't put in this slide, I've made with some liminal communities in Colombia, in South America, where there are a few problems with the narcos, for example. And in these liminal communities in Colombia, we talk together to create the same way to create hybrid participation processes. And we discuss in which way it's possible to change from the bottom this community, not from the top. Because if you have the opportunity to change from the bottom, the change have a longue durée, I say in French, but not, because it's important to have a different idea of changing, a different idea of participation. And you say, but now we have MEDCOM on media and communication. Yes, but media and communication is not only an idea of market. It's possible to think about media and communication as instruments to change culture, to change community, to change the life of the people. It's not only the others. And if someone about scholars, and not only scholars, have the opportunity to work with the people that live in the local community. It's a way to change something. This is my point of view of my work of scholars, of researcher. Is if my research don't try to change nothing, it's not a good research. I don't make a good work. It's only an analysis. It's a theoretical framework. I try to put in action some ideas, and in this case, it's possible to change something. But communication can change. The types of communication, the hybrid participation processes, is not a communication, a transmissive idea of communication. It's a mutualistic idea of communication, where it's possible to have a reciprocity from the people that participate. All the people are at the same level and can contribute to create communication, to create content, to create message, co-create. This is the idea at the base of hybrid participation processes. So I have finished my time, I think. Thank you for your attention.